Guiding Light, a podcast for small business owners. We have a visitor today. Her name is Marian LaSalle, and we're going to be talking about networking for small business owners and where you can get the fortune in the follow-up. Good morning, Marian. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fantastic. I'm a little cold. It's cold here in Houston, but I'm good.
Well, it's just cold here. I think we woke up to 33 degrees. Yeah, it was like 60 yesterday. So yeah, it was like 30 degrees colder. So it's a big transition to move over from cold to warm to cold. So yeah, but I remember living in Houston that the weather was almost like a roller coaster at Astroworld. It just up and down, up and down. Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So we're talking about networking today. First off, you are the marketing director there at Agency 258.
Correct.
Okay. But what's really cool is you came up with a plan for small business owners so they could go in and basically have follow-up in their networking. And we're going to be talking about that here in just a little bit. I'm sorry. You also, let's see, you have local and both online communities. You're definitely a results-driven business mentor. You do speaking and training. Isn't that correct?
That is correct. I love training. I love speaking, and I love people. That's probably why I love it so much. I really get into helping people see possibilities where they saw none before.
Right. Got it. Yeah. That's one thing that you and we could sit here and talk all day about that kind of stuff.
Yes.
We both have a big passion on that one. The good thing is that you are not one of those networkers that believes that a business only needs to be successful online. You and I share that a business needs to be offline as well as online, and they need to communicate with each other around the goals of the business. And then that way you have a more well-rounded approach to what you're doing for your business.
That's true. Well-rounded is a dream for most people. They get stuck in certain aspects of their business and they don't look backward like we talked about this morning, or forward, or it's circular, it's angular. There's a lot of different moving parts and pieces. And that's why if you look at my LinkedIn profile up at the top, it says, do what you do best and farm out the rest, because we can't be everything to all people, including ourselves. So I find that you slow yourself down if you try to do it all yourself. You've got to have, if it's not a real team member, you got to have people that you can rely on that can take some work off of you, because it's just too much to try to do it all yourself.
I agree. Delegating is definitely the way to do it. But a lot of times what happens is businesses, they don't really have the staff that has the skill set. And that's where the training comes into place, where if your staff doesn't know how to do it, either hire somebody that does or get them in front of people that can train them on exactly what they should be doing. And that comes in all areas of the business. And I think it's a lot of times small business owners get so caught up in the, I've got to do this today, cover this for this client, this for this client, that they don't really think about, they're more thinking of short-term goals than they are looking at what can resonate over time. And that's really where networking comes into place. One thing we were talking about today is the LinkedIn connection, and how everybody is going for a popularity contest and trying to get as many followers and as many connections as they can. And they don't really follow through to really build a good connection with who they're connecting with.
It's almost like you want to ask them, what are you thinking, buddy? Why do you want to connect with me? They don't even know. They just want to, just like you said, they just want to people collect. So they look like they have a bigger network. Well, who cares if you have a big network, if they're not doing anything, if they're not communicating, if they're not connecting? Who cares? What are they trying to do? Get sponsors? I don't even understand what it is they're trying to do.
Exactly. Now, here's another thing to think about. You know how you go to those networking events and there's always one in every room. I don't care where you go. There's a schmuck that's going to walk around and he's going to say, here's my business card. Let's do business.
That's
Here's
right.
my business card. I want to sell you something. Here's my
nice
business
to
card.
meet you. Now let's buy my product. Here.
Exactly. And that's the way that I feel about these people just trying to connect on LinkedIn, is that it's kind of like, okay, connect with me so you can see my stuff and then you can buy from me. And it's like, I don't want to be sold to. Nobody does. And nobody really cares. Hey, I want to know you. I want to know what, now granted, everybody's got an ulterior motive. You know what I mean? But if you go at it in the sense of, I want to get to know you, I want to help you, you're going to help me, it will work out to where it's mutually beneficial. And I think what's happened is a lot of people have gotten into social media and there hasn't really been an etiquette book that's been written. Hey, we ought to do that. An etiquette book. There we go. An etiquette book that's out there that basically says, don't do this. You come off like a schmuck. Just don't do it. Yeah. So that's one thing that has really bugged me about networking. But let's start with offline networking. What are some of the things? I know we've got BNI here. We've got our chamber. We've got things like that. And I know you've got the same thing there in Houston, but you also have like meetups and some other business type networking type
You
things.
could literally network 20 hours a day here in Houston.
Yeah.
Live, right? From 7 in the morning till 10 at night. They have a meetup somewhere going on.
Mm-hmm.
That's based on networking business owners.
Got it.
So I don't think it's that way everywhere, but because we have almost 6 million people here,
right.
We're up to a lot of stuff. We're up to a lot of good and a lot of bad too.
Got it. Definitely.
I run, I think 5 networking groups right now, and I only want to attend and run groups that are not forced networking. What I mean by forced is nothing wrong with BNI, but they do have quotas that you have to meet. You have to bring in a visitor. You have to bring in a referral. You have to bring, you have to do business with people. And it's to me, it feels forced. That's the only way I can say it. Okay. I think that if you can come into a networking group with the idea that I want to get to know these people so I can refer them, don't try to sell me, try to educate me on what you do and who you are and how you do business. And then when I hear somebody that has a problem, I can refer you. That's my take on all networking, online as well as off. Mm-hmm. Don't try to sell me. Just like you said earlier, who wants to be sold to?
Right. Nobody does.
We like buying, but we don't want to be sold.
Now, I'm the education coordinator in our BNI chapter. And the biggest thing that I try to tell people is, one, don't sell to the group. Don't do it. You're not after them. You're after the people that they know. You want to show that big neon sign that's going to pop when they're talking to somebody. That's all you're trying to do in this room. And a lot of times whenever people are looking at the value of BNI or any type of networking that's out there, is what's my return on investment? And now BNI, you do have to pay for. A lot of times there's quarterly dues, blah, 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 blah. Mine's about $1,300 a year. Okay. And you and I work in very similar spheres, and knowing that we can get one job and that's done. That's pretty much paid for. Okay. But then you've got to also factor in your time that you spend doing things. You also have to factor that in. And a lot of times there's some sales reps to these networking groups. And unless they see a good ROI, they're going to see that there's no value. So what are some tips that you can think of to strategically? Now, I'm going to have you answer this question. Everybody knows I'm an animal lover, and my little princess Sophie is looking at me like, you didn't let me in before you started your meeting, Mom. So I'm going to go let her in while you answer the question. But let us know some of the things that people can do within these networking groups to show maybe strategic ways that they can use those relationships to show that they have a good return. I'll be right back.
Okay. So I feel like no matter what group you're in, if it's a BNI, if it's a free meetup, if it's just trying to get together, some of the strategies that I use and that I see are very popular, especially if it's a group where you don't know anyone. If you take somebody with you, I call this tag team networking. If you take somebody with you that knows you, likes or loves you, trusts you, and thinks that you have a good product or service, then this will work great. So you go in as a team and you go split up. Okay, so this one goes over here, this one goes over there, and you start a conversation with different people, right? As soon as you're finished with talking to your person, you make a beeline over to your tag team partner, and they introduce you and edify you to the person they're talking to. They stop the conversations. Oh, I want you to meet my friend. She has this organizing business and she is fantastic. You know, I hear a lot of great things about her. I even used her myself, whatever you want to say. And that way, if you continue doing that, you're meeting people that are already trusting you because you were just edified by someone else. Because I can sell you better than you can sell yourself. You know that.
Right.
So I call that tag team networking. And I'm sorry about my dog. Only when I get on the phone or I get into a meeting does she start talking.
It's always going to happen, of course. Of course. No, it's fine. It's not bothering me a bit.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yes.
So that's one strategy.
Right. Right. And it definitely does work. And a lot of times what I tell people is, even if you have like 2 sales reps that are within the same company, let them go together. You know, don't just send one of them. And whenever you walk into a room, what you're looking for is we, in BNI, we use these circles and they're circles of influence. Okay. So if you're targeting, let's just say you're a caterer. Okay. And you like doing business events. Let's just say that you're not really the wedding caterer. You're more of the business event. So who would you need to connect to in that room that also does business with your customer? Now, you would think, okay, an event planner would be one. Okay. Somebody in marketing would be another that would, kind of plan these events and things like that to get out their PR. That would be another one. So what you're doing is you're looking inside this room to see who's in here that could be a referral partner for you. And those are the ones that you want to connect with. And here's the thing. I learned this from our regional trainer within BNI. I started teaching it to our small business clients to use the same concept within social media.
I noticed that. I used to also be in BNI. And I noticed that if you are really familiar with who could be a referral partner, it works like gold. It's like, magic. So like the realtors, they need to meet the title companies and the mortgage companies. And there's like a whole feeding frenzy going on there.
Attorneys, that's a good one. People that do like prenups and maybe even divorce, unfortunately. But they need to sell their home and possibly buy another one. So, there's a lot of opportunities there. But here's where, coming up with that ROI. Okay, so you're in a room and you've got 30 other people in there. You've met just about everybody. You've gotten business cards from people. And now it's after the event. What are the things that people can do? I've got some ideas too, but I definitely want to hear yours. What are some things that you can do first to take, hey, I met you, let's continue the relationship?
Okay, frame that a little differently so I really understand the question.
You and I meet at an event. We've never met before. You gave me a business card while I was there. What do I do with it?
Oh, I get you. I get where you're going with that. Yes.
Yes.
So yes, the fortune is definitely in the follow-up. If you stack your business cards in a bag, okay, this is ridiculous, but look at this. This is a basket full of
Whoops.
business cards.
Mine just went all over the floor.
Yes, a
I'm
basket.
still
If you have a
going.
drawer, exactly.
I'm still going. Do you see this?
Yeah,
This is just from the
bags.
last 2 months.
And if you just put them on your desk, if you just stack them somewhere, then it does nobody any good.
Right.
So some people will go as far as to put them in their CRM, right? So same thing. What good does that do? If it's in your CRM and you still do nothing with it, I'm going to talk to you a little bit like a psychologist. I'm not a psychologist, but I play one on TV. And here's the deal.
Did you stay at the Holiday Inn?
I did not. How about that?
Okay.
If you get a phone call or you get an email or a LinkedIn and someone says to you, hey, nice to meet you, now buy my stuff, you don't feel good about that person now. And you don't want to in turn do that to other people. And that's what the resistance, that's why people will make up excuses about why they're not going to follow up. You know, I'm too busy. You know, I can't remember where I met them. They'll come up with all kinds of excuses, and those stacks of cards just get bigger and bigger. And because they don't want to make people feel like what they just felt like when someone tried to sell them. So I've come up with a program for following up with people that is, it takes all the pressure off of people. And the reason I did that was because I needed it. I was the worst one, and people used to make fun of me by looking at my desk with all the cards all around. And I'm a people person.
Right.
So I went to a Build Expo here in Houston. If you can imagine, our expos are really big. There were probably 270 vendors there. And we went to every booth over a 2-day period. There were 3 of us. Over a 2-day period, we went to every one of them. And they had a bowl, you know, collecting cards. They were giving away things. They had scanners where they could scan your information. So they knew who we were. And only 3 companies out of 270 followed up. So it's not just individual business owners. These are bigger companies who could afford a follow-up system, and they don't do it.
Wow.
And the only reason I can think of is nobody wants to do it because they don't want to seem pushy.
Right, right. Now, another thing is that I sold insurance in another lifetime, but it's so funny because people would buy leads and only probably 1 out of 10 would follow up with those leads. It's crazy. And I'm not sure if, you know, you were talking about the psychology of the whole thing. If it's like, I don't want to come off as that I'm trying to sell them something. They don't have their message down to where they feel confident that it's not icky. It's not hyper chihuahua syndrome. And you know what I mean by that. It's not, you know, it's not going to come off as icky when they do reach out to somebody. So a lot of times just saying, hey, it was great to connect with you. Let's do coffee. Or if it's an online thing, hey, thank you for reaching out to me on LinkedIn. If there's anything I can help you with, let me know. Or if I can connect you with somebody that I know, let me know. Let's get together for coffee, or perhaps just do like a phone call, or, you know, something like what we're doing now, where the 2 of us are able to talk and, you know, eyeball to eyeball, so to speak, and see how we can mutually benefit one another. And I think a lot of people have problems with that because as humans, we don't like rejection. What do you think? Do you think it's rejection? Do you think it all boils down to rejection?
It's a combination of I don't want anybody to reject me or my product or my service because that is a reflection on me, as well as I don't want to seem pushy. I think those 2 things come together, and it really plays here. And we do make excuses about why we're not going to follow up.
Gremlins.
You know, people will even go, like you said, they'll buy leads. They still don't do anything with them. Or they'll just make 1 phone call or 1 email. they try to make it as impersonal as possible. Well, how does that work for you?
Right.
It's
Exactly.
not. You've
Now,
got to build your community and build that relationship.
right. Now, another thing that probably plays into this is time. Because as you said, like in Houston, you could spend 20 hours a day networking and you walk away and let's say on average there's 25, 30 people there. You multiply that by, let's say you're doing 3 events a day. You're pulling in 60 cards a day. Now here, we have a much smaller population, but you still have a group of business cards and a limited amount of time. Time for everybody, especially as adults, is a 4-letter word. It really is. Time stinks. And we all have 24 hours and we all have to make the best we can with that 24 hours. So what the reason why I really wanted Marianne on here is I wanted her to share this program that she's mentioned. And it's all about following up with these people and how she's developed a thing that basically pulls you out of it. You don't have the gremlins in your head telling you that you're not good enough. You don't have the gremlins in there worried about rejection. You don't have any of that. And you don't have to spend the time doing it. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, well, I'm putting the link in the sidebar here. If you want to go and read more about it, I would highly recommend it because I'm going to just barely touch on it. It's called Follow-Up Leads, and you can go to followupleads.com and read more about it. You can see videos and really get a deeper sense of what it is. The basic concept here is that there's certain things that can stop you. You don't think you have time, if you don't want to feel pushy, if you don't want to be rejected, all those things work on your mind. We're going to take all that away from you. So I am what they call an onboarding specialist. So I work with every client that comes to me, and we work together on your call to action. Because if you're not clear on what your call to action is, you're going to be wasting time, which, as you said earlier, is very precious. So I work with you as a business owner or a sales rep, and we decide, okay, let's figure out what your call to action is. What do you want to do when you meet with these people? What do you want them to do when they get your information? Do you want them to download an ebook? Do you want them to buy a product? Do you want to meet them for coffee so you can get to know them better? What is your call to action? So once we figure that out, then my tech team builds a video and an email stream, like a follow-up sequence, and a landing page. So now you can use that on LinkedIn. So that was really great earlier. You said if somebody tries to connect with you on LinkedIn and they really want to connect, if you reach back out to them and say, well, thank you for the connection, if you don't have a call to action, then nothing happens, does it, Rochelle?
Right. No,
nothing,
it does not.
Nothing happens. Nobody says another word. Nope. So you just collected another person. So what we've done is we give you a link, and that link goes to your landing page that has your video on it. So you can say something like, let's just not meet. Let's go to the next level. Let's learn how we can refer each other business. Let's learn how I can help you, how you can help me, and let's work together. And you give them this link, and they go over and they're going to see what your call to action is. They're going to, and if they respond and they want to connect with you, then off and running you go. Another thing that we do is we take the technology out of it by building all this for you, so that if you meet somebody, let's say you get a business card. You get somebody's business card and it has their information on it. You have their first name and their email address. There's an app on your phone. You just click the app, you put their name and their email address in, and everything is taken care of for you. It's a follow-up system that runs, and you don't, like you said, you don't have the gremlins. It's out of your hands now.
Right.
And it's working. Can I just tell you that every single day I get somebody that responds that says yes to my call to action, which is probably different than yours, but every single day since I started this program, and I did build the program myself, I knew what I wanted, and I have taken in people, my clients that are coming into this program, they're giving me their feedback, and so I'm designing it based on really what's happening out there. What are people saying? What are they responding to?
Right.
And they really like it, and I really like it, and it's a fantastic opportunity. I hope I explained it right. If I didn't, you can feel free to call me and ask me any questions that you like. I'm not a high pressure salesperson, that's for sure.
Right, right, exactly. You know, the one thing about it is the drip emails, because a lot of times you had mentioned that people just send like one email, or they reach out on Messenger, or they send
One
a
or two
LinkedIn
times.
message one time. Okay. What if that person's having like one of those days? And we all know exactly what those days are like. You know, emails get pushed off. You know, there's some big thing going on at the company. Maybe the big wigs are in from corporate, you know, whatever, and you don't have time to even look at anything. If you just send that one email, it's going to get pushed up underneath all those other emails. By sending multiple reaches and multiple contacts, connections to that person, you're going to catch them on that better day when they have better time. And just in our research that we have found, the best time to do that is on Mondays and Fridays. Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, people are busy out of the office. They're doing sales, they're doing their stuff. And and Fridays are usually the best days to reach out. Are you seeing the same thing?
Absolutely. My blog
Mm-hmm.
post and my newsletter all go out Monday morning, and by Friday, you know, people are getting ready. By 3 o'clock on Friday, they're gone.
Oh yeah, their mind's not there anyway. They're already into the weekend. But you know, if you're going to reach out to people, you know, Monday-ish, Friday mornings are usually about the best time to do it. So, well, great, great. Well, Marianne, is there anything that you want to say, you know, that would, you know, help the networking side of things as far as online goes? I know we've talked about the empty connection. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
I would definitely encourage you to do more networking, whether it's online or if it's in person. It doesn't matter. I like to have video chats. You know, here in Houston, it could take 2 hours to get from one side to the other, literally,
Hmm.
depending on the time of day. So not everybody wants to have coffee with you,
Right.
and not everybody can meet you, but they could do a video chat. And if they're not technical enough to do a video chat, there's always the phone. So I highly recommend that you do that. You spend more time connecting with people instead
Mhm.
of just reaching out and like, you know, binging. If you
Right.
bing them, you're not building a connection. Build your community or join someone else's community and build that connection with people.
Mhm.
That's what's really going to give you more referrals and better lasting long-term clients.
Got it. Awesome. Awesome. Well, how can everybody reach you?
Oh, okay. So if you go to followupleads.com, you can, you know, definitely connect with me. There's a connect button, and you can email me. I accept phone calls, typically text, email, doesn't matter. The name of my company is Agency 258,
Mhm.
and you can go to agency258.com. But I really like connecting with people. So if you want to talk with me, I'd be happy to. There's no, like I said, I'm not a high pressure salesperson. I'll help anybody with their networking. As a matter of fact, I think Rochelle and I should write a book on networking. So
Yes.
look for
Yes.
that,
Yes. Definitely. Definitely.
because we love
Now,
it. We love
now
people.
you also have a show that you and your partner Russ do together. Isn't that correct? Tell us a
Yes,
little bit more about that.
sure. At 11 o'clock every Tuesday, we have a show that goes out. It's called Marketing Ideas That Work. And we talk a lot we jibber jabber a lot, but we also interview cool people like Rochelle. Rochelle was on our show, I think, a year ago, right, Rochelle?
No, it was 18 months ago. I looked back. Do you believe we've known each other that long? We met on Blab.
I love Blab. I'm so sorry it went away.
I missed it, but I like Crowdcast. The only thing I don't like about Crowdcast as much as it's hard to find other shows that are on
I
that
agree. They should look back at how Blab was set up and
where you
do
can
the
find things, yeah, and
yeah
see lives
directory.
and things like that that are
Yeah,
going on. So
yeah,
anyway, so you and Russ have this show, and you guys talk about marketing and all that kind of good stuff.
yeah.
And I love it. I have my BNI meeting at that time, so I always have to catch the recording.
Well, BNI is important, and you need to go because you are really building relationships. It's interesting. I was in BNI for about 6 years, And I did need to take a break because, like I said, they do force things, but it really works, doesn't it, Rochelle?
Yeah.
You do get referrals.
I was part of the first chapter that launched here in Tupelo, and that was back in 2009. And I was in there for a couple of years, and then I stepped down for a little while, and then I rejoined a forming chapter, and I've been in about 3 years now. So it's definitely a lot of work, but if you strategically use those relationships, it's definitely a payoff. The members that I see that don't see the value are the ones that aren't strategically using those relationships.
You know, we could have a whole nother show on strategy, because if you don't write your strategy out and you just kind of wing it, you're going to get that kind of, just like you said, it's not going to work. Don't wing it. Have a strategy, work with somebody, a coach or a business partner or a mastermind group, and find out what you really need to do for your strategy and stick to that strategy. You can modify it, but that is the best way to move forward quickly, is having a strategy.
Well, one thing that a lot of our clients are very surprised at whenever they come on board with us is that we break everything down into, okay, you have a website, you have Facebook, you have LinkedIn, you have Instagram, you have YouTube, you have BNI, you have all these different elements that are going to come into your business. Now, let's just look at the website. Here's our company goal. How are we going to use the website to accomplish that goal? Now let's just look at Facebook. How are we going to use Facebook? Because each of these networks are very different. And it's really funny because if you get on LinkedIn and you scroll through the feed, you'll see a lot of people that think it's Facebook, and it's not. And it's kind of funny. But anyway, but a lot of people don't really realize that these networks are very different. And the way that they're structured, the way you have to structure your call to action, the way you have to market yourself in these social networks. Same thing with BNI, same thing with meetups, same thing with the chamber. You know, BNI, you're in a room and you're the only one in your field in that room. But in the chamber, you could be in the room with 4 other people that do the same thing you do. How are you going to stand out? And that's, And if you have a good marketing plan for each part of that, and it's all structured around the goal of your company, it's going to be effective.
Yeah. Join a mastermind, find a partner or a referral person that can help you structure your strategy, and don't try to do it alone. That's the biggest problem I find out there. There's a lot of people that are out there trying to do this all by themselves, Rochelle. And you and I know we could have looked at each other as competition, right? And said, "Oh, she's a competitor. I don't want to have anything to do with her," right? Couldn't we?
Yes.
Look at the little baby. Oh, she's precious.
I have a calico. Yes, she's spoiled. But yeah, I mean, you know, the thing about it is Marian and I are looking at ways that we can work together.
There you go.
And we're not competitors. There's different strengths that each of us have and different weaknesses that each of us have. And I have a hard time admitting the weaknesses. But we do, each have our strengths, and we can play off of those and then better cater to our clients. And at the end of the day, that's what matters.
There you go.
Exactly.
I love it.
Exactly.
So feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to talk with anybody. I know Rochelle would too. We would help you with your strategy on networking, and look for that book because we're going to write it.
Yeah, we definitely need to. What do you think? 12 months? Do you think we can knock it out in 6 months?
Oh, 3 months.
3 months. Oh, wow. She's feeling aggressive today. Okay. All righty. You guys, thanks very much for tuning in. We do appreciate it. Definitely get in touch with Marian if you have any questions. Thank you very much for listening to the Guiding Light Small Business Podcast. And we will be here again next week with a really good topic. It's going to be an attorney, and he's all going to be talking about contracts. It's not going to be as dry as you think, and it's going to be some ways that you can protect your small business. So hopefully you can attend. And Marian, thank you so much for coming. As always, I really enjoyed seeing you and speaking with you and getting your insight.
Thank you, Rochelle. Bye, everybody.
Thanks. You guys have a good day. All right. Bye.
My dog.